You know, if I could say one thing, Senator, you know, the MTA is a transportation agency. They're not a telecommunications agency. The police department's a police agency. We're not a telecommunications agency. You know, there are companies out there, Motorola, other companies out there that have the technology and the equipment that's out there. But the MTA just, you know, we have to continually hire consultants to overview. We have to continue hiring outside engineers. You know, this is not something we do every day. So, like I said, it's taken them a long time, but every time a new issue comes up, it's a new issue to them. You know, so that's a lot of the problem too.
I know Senator Adams has a question he wants to get in. If you could just either one or both of you speak to what keeps you up at night? I mean, what are your thoughts on this, and how can we work together to prevent what is keeping you up at night? But so people can understand from a real level how the folks who you represent are affected by this in a worst case scenario.
But what keeps me up at night is what if again, and I know that I can't speak for Bobby, but he has nightmares about what already happened.
About 37 funerals.
About 37 funerals that some of them might have been, you know, able to get the word to get out. And, you know, I run the union for the MTA police, and, you know, we have Grand Central and Penn Station, two of probably the most terrorist-rich targets in the entire world. And, you know, it's tough to communicate.
Right.
It's not necessary to be in this position 10 years after. All the reports seem to have gone on deaf ears.
Well, no longer, I promise you that. Senator Adams?
Thank you very much, Chair. First of all, guys, thank you for testifying.
Thank you, sir.
I was a lieutenant at the time of September 11th, and I remember that day very clearly, and the countless number of officers that we lost. And, you know, it was a while before I was able to find my younger brother, who was a sergeant at the time, so I understand the impact of that loss. First of all, your testimony, I believe, is the most important testimony that we're hearing today, because you're actually representing the men and women who are where the rubber meets the road. I want to just ask two questions. One, and maybe you can't answer it, but we need to find out, Chair, of the outside contractors, how much money has gone into the consultants, how much money has gone into these various contractors that appear to have found a way just to continue to put in low bids and then exceed the cost of the project. And so we need to look into that. What is the policy in your agency on officers able to come forward and report incidents? Is there a blanket policy where you're not allowed to either talk to the press or talk to governmental agencies without permission? You know, what is that policy? Do you know what that policy is?
I mean, you know, Senator, as a former police officer, you're not allowed to talk to the press unless you get permission from your police department. I'm allowed to talk to the press. I'm allowed to talk to you because I'm covered under the umbrella of the union. I'm the executive vice president of the PBA, so I can say whatever I want as long as it's truthful and honest, and that's what we're here today to do.
What about, you said something about your testimony, part of your testimony was redacted. Did I understand that?
Yes, sir.
So you, prior to doing your testimony, you had to get an approval from the agency, and they decided what they wanted to report and what they didn't want to report?
No, sir. This was our union office's decision to keep that information redacted. There was 4 very sensitive issues. We might as well draw a terrorism map, basically, and I hope that the Senator looks at those strongly. Very serious issues that need to be closed.
That information is going to be provided to every member of the committee as well as the proper law enforcement agencies and beyond.
Thank you. And just to sum up, Chair, it's important that we have to take a close look at the whistleblower laws, particularly for the men and women who are in law enforcement. They should feel free without any form of reprimand or reprisal when they want to notify governmental agencies of lapse, such as what you stated today, to know that our men and women who go into the tunnel or go into any part of the system is unable to communicate with each other. And what happened at the Port Authority that Senator Adabo just stated, that's horrific. And if the officer on patrol cannot receive the necessary attention from his superiors, he should be able to go to the governmental agencies without feeling as though he's going to be punished at any point. And I think our whistleblower laws must be stronger to protect those officers.
Senator, I do agree. But as a union representative, we are often the spokesperson for our members. I can tell you that those 4 issues that were bulleted and redacted from my testimony were brought to the Port Authority by the union office, the president and myself, and the conditions still exist today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know Senator Zeldin would like to make a question, and then Senator Golden.
My question is for Mr. O'Meara. I'm glad that it was brought up here. I'm learning a lot over the course of the last few months. My conversations with Senator Ball and Senator Golden with regards to the radio operability issue, and it does cost money. You're on the inside of the MTA, and I know that you said you came here. You didn't come here with the purpose of trying to bash the MTA, and I respect and appreciate that. You're on the inside. Can you give us ways that the MTA can save money that they aren't addressing right now?
In relation to the radio system?
In general.
You know what? I could tell you that Mr. Walder, since he's gotten here, he's been, I believe, he's cut a lot of money from the MTA, but I'm not on the inside of the MTA as far as the transportation side. I'm on the police side. And on the police side, there is really, we're not a revenue gathering agency, we're just the police. So, I mean, the MTA police is less than 1% of the MTA's budget. So security for the MTA Police Department is less than 1% of the MTA's budget. So the MTA is in the business of moving people. Security is a concern. Can we spend more money? I'm always looking for more money, more police officers. I think more police officers, physical police officers, not so much cameras. Cameras are great, but that lets you catch someone after they hit you. Police officers prevent people from hitting you. So, that's where we need to spend money.
I've had an opportunity to speak to Chairman Walder, to MTA board members. It's a great opportunity to get a chance to ask you this, as well as other people that might be on the inside. There's a significant cost for what needs to get accomplished, and you're worried about the risk of that money possibly getting taken away and used for offsets to other capital programs. So even though you are focused on staying inside your lane with your duties, and I totally respect that, the big picture, trying to avoid the risk of that funding being taken away for capital funding elsewhere. However, you're able to, and others are able to identify efficiencies, even if it's outside your lane, helps us advocate on your behalf to make sure that doesn't happen.
No, thank you.
Senator Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 3 quick questions. The World Trade Center, the Commissioner Daddario was here before. He said that's his baby, and that the communications were getting, he felt were getting better. Your feeling today, those buildings are being built. What's the communications within those buildings? Are they properly adjusted for antenna, and are they for communications?
We're told that the 800 megahertz radio system, the proprietary system, is being installed in the World Trade Center. The PATH trains, which is a command in New Jersey that does the PATH train system, which is based in New Jersey and travels through the Trade Center and up into Manhattan, does not have the 800 megahertz system. We lost many members of the PATH command on that day at 9/11. So as far as interoperability amongst our own department, less other departments, as far as we are told, that's not going to happen.
So under the present setup that we have today, the World Trade Center is being built, we would still not have the communications that we needed for the Port Authority and the PATH train.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other area that we would be blindsided where we wouldn't have communications in that building or in the footprint?
Not that I know of at this time.
But that's the only place that you are aware of?
Yes, sir.
Do you have NYSes on when you're on any of your areas where cars drive in? Are your plates, can they register a plate and kick back an alarm to you that that plate is a a suspected.
It's funny you should ask me that question, Senator. NYPD installed those systems outside some of our portals at the Holland Tunnel and some other areas in the city on our facilities, and we don't have access to that.
You don't have access, but
No.
are the facilities NYPD have?
NYPD monitors that. Yes, sir.
What about facial ID?
No, sir.
MTA?
I believe they're putting scanners for license plates and things like that into operation. Presently, we're going through the process of training our people.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I would like to follow up on a couple of issues, and I know that Senator Martins has a question as well, so I'll try to be brief. But specifically on Air Train and at JFK and the arrival of Air Train, is it true that it stops under the international terminal?
Yes, sir. Obviously, we're going to talk about one of my redacted points. The air train system at JFK, if I could briefly overview.
Please.
Is an 8-mile railroad system. It's unmanned. It travels around JFK Airport to the Howard Beach subway station, up the Van Wyck Expressway to the Long Island Railroad's main hub. It's unmanned and unpoliced. Port Authority's own security study prior to the deployment of that system was for 18 police officers a day to police the system. There's 3 tours of duty a day, 365 days a year. I think that comes out to somewhere about 1,095 tours of duty a year. In the last 12 months, we've had 40 tours, which is about 2 weeks' worth of coverage with one officer. It's a bad situation, sir.
And can you explain once again, just because sometimes we get caught up in the communication and without explaining at a real level, what does that mean? If I want to do harm to this country, if I want to do harm specifically, is El Al in that international terminal?
There's no conductor, and
Is
there hasn't
El
been
Al
police.
in that,
Yes,
is
sir.
El Al's in that international
And it
terminal?
travels around the terminal city area. It enters into the International Arrivals building, and it's inside the terminal building, and it's between the arrivals and right directly underneath the departure area in that terminal building. And I have a list of some of the airlines that travel through there. El Al, Air India, United Air Emirates, Pakistan International Airlines, Royal Jordanian, Virgin, Aer Lingus, Etihad Airways, Delta, and others.
In what form of screening is going on, either for baggage or person or passengers?
There's no police manned on that train, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Senator Martins?
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for your testimony here today. When Congressman King was here earlier today, he spoke about the need for us to be aware of other targets outside of our urban areas, in our suburban communities, certainly with rails in our local suburban communities like mine. Can you speak to that issue and security issues and policing, certainly from the MTA perspective, when it comes to our local communities in suburban areas that feed into New York City?
Yeah, I think when we saw the terrorist attacks in Spain, it was a commuter rail line, and the terrorists didn't focus themselves in the city. They boarded the train in the suburbs and rode into the city. So it's certainly something we're aware of. Like I said, we're trying to do our best with the resources we have, and it's certainly a worry.
Has the position of the MTA with respect to providing security for those suburban areas, the commuter lines, changed in the last 10 years in light of the prospect of just this kind of an attack?
Oh, yeah, the MTA has changed their focus since September 11th. We're definitely more focused on protecting against terrorism, and we do have a small amount of train patrols that do patrol from the suburbs into the city. But the amount of trains, and the amount of police officers we have assigned, it doesn't add up. We can only do so much.
Robert, Michael, I want to thank you both. I want you to know that you have the full attention of our committee. We'll be following up. I ask that you continue to extend information and communication to this committee. And thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you
you
very
all.
much.
Thank you.